Hey everybody, this is Noel. I'm doing another Straycloud Dev Log. Hope you're all well. I think this is the fifth one. Done a few of these now. I am at the period where I'm working on right now, where my deliverable for the grant that I received, the goal that I'm working towards, is due in about 3 months. So I'm at a place where I'm trying to wrap a bunch of stuff up and make sure everything's working. I think most of the features are there. A lot of what I have left to do is asset creation. So I have a lot of animation left to do, making sure everything is kind of triggering properly, squashing any bugs that are left, that kind of thing. And between that and just everything else that's going on, normal day-to-day life stuff, just want to kind of try to get all my ducks in a row. So I tend to be kind of prone to distraction when I'm, kind of in this situation, and when I play through the game on my own time, what I currently have, and I try to figure out what I have left to do. Usually I'll find one thing and kind of lock onto it, or if I make a list, I'll start getting new ideas and just kind of extrapolating on what's already there. So I thought that it might be useful for me to just kind of take a pause, and since I needed to do another devlog anyway, just play through what I have and talk about what is and isn't here, and then I can watch it back and make a list. So hopefully that'll be useful. So there will be a variety of inconsistencies and things that aren't done. I just want to kind of walk through and point those things out. Hopefully I have been doing some bug catching recently, so hopefully I won't hit anything that actually grinds the game to a halt, but we'll see. So the last one of these that was done was actually a play test that I did with a group of people, which was super useful. Gathered a lot of good feedback from that, and I've gone back from then and tried to take care of some of the things that were broken, add some things that were missing, and also just work at getting the rest of this prototype phase feature complete. So what's new? This is all mostly the same. Building up the rest of this area is kind of what I'd call a stretch goal for the phase of the project that I'm in. It would be really nice to be able to redecorate this level, because it's not really where I want it to be. But it does describe kind of what's going on. This is, where the player starts. They're just in their house. And it sets up the first objective, which is to come and talk to this person. Who indicates to the player where they need to go next with this map marker. One of the things that I realize now is probably missing is the coordinates of the player character. They're in that kind of mid-lower left portion with the island that's just offshore, and they need to go to where that animated marker currently is. So again, that's something that I hope to add. Wouldn't be that hard to do. It's just tracking it room to room, which requires a bit of setup. Anyway, now we have a map, which is also unfinished, but it gives you a good idea of the layout of the game world and what you'll be seeing later on. And now I can still talk to this one, but they're just going to grumble at me. Not giving any new information. So I can proceed over here. This is an area that I think visually is pretty close to being finished for this phase. Got parallax fog effects. We've got some different lighting that's been baked in to the different parts. Another thing we can do now is spin, which allows us to do things like bust up bushes. not a whole lot else so far. What else have I added here? Now I have some really basic UI indicators, so like the heads-up display will flash when you do something. Like gain or lose a spirit point, for instance. Fixed a lot of projectile collision problems that were giving inconsistent results. So that's a bit better now. Yeah, as you can see, this is mostly kind of done. This is, the level of quality that I want to achieve at this point with the way the game world looks. And I'm pretty satisfied with it. Fixed a bug for music fading transition. So now if you go back and forth between areas, the sound will fade properly. Just satisfying. That was a frustrating bug that I encountered during the playtest, which I didn't realize because everyone who was testing was listening to the game through headphones. And so when I went back and watched all the footage, I realized that was happening. There was this double up where all these sounds would just keep playing on top of each other. It was very cacophonous and kind of frustrating. The forest level has not changed. This is another one that I'd like to be able to do some more work on. Like the overhead tree part, for instance, is overused here. Like it starts to look kind of like some of the feedback I've gotten is it kind of looks like this is land and it's meeting water. I think part of that is that these tree sprites are not at the correct depth, so they're overhanging, which doesn't make any sense. Again, things that I'd like to go back and fix, but the parallax shadows are nice. We've got some lighting effects in here as well, which I think are working well. I also need to adjust the level design right here so that this golden path, which is the literal golden path, gives you more of an indication of where you need to go next, which is to the left. The atmosphere here around this first guardian creature I think is working really well, but obviously there's still some placeholder assets. The area that you can actually travel along in this level is pretty limited because it's just supposed to direct you to your goal and not do much else. So I think, this use of these big crystals is working, but I need to actually draw them and use more of them. And like, for instance, you can't really go any further than this, so I need to come up with a logical game world reason, visual indicator that that's the case. So that will have to get done, but that's all right. That's just painting. I don't know if I think this was all here in the last one I did, but maybe not. So I've added more tooltips, but I have a lot more tooltips than I need to add. But this one is here, indicating to us that we need to approach this thing and interact with it. Sound effects are needed here. You can see in the upper left there's now a flashing UI indicator saying that it's still a bit basic, that needs to be refined, but toggling the earth element on and off. It's been suggested to me that you should be able to go in here, and I would really like to do that. I hadn't originally considered that, but one of the thoughts I had the other day was that, like, how rad would that be for progression? So I think that will happen at some point. And I think going up here and being able to see this little vista up at the top would be good, so I'll try to unblock that area and give a logical reason to go up there, maybe. Foley work is missing from most of these levels, but that's just because I haven't done it yet. That system is in place, so we'll have footstep sounds and things like that for all these areas too. Anyway, not much to do except go back. And the map is obviously not really a contiguous space. I just want to show off as many areas as I have, kind of prototyped so far. So you jump around from areas like the canyon to the forest to that guardian zone. Forest has nothing to do in it, it's just atmospheric, and I think that I've also gotten good feedback there that should just keep it because it's kind of nice. Cool. So from here, blocks, hopefully this won't crash. I made some changes to block pushing so that you kind of snap to the middle of the block in order to keep things a bit more uniform. Blocks will also still move to the grid, but I was always having my doubts about this idea of having these Legend of Zelda style blocks that you can only push once. I think maybe at some point for certain puzzles there will be ones that you can only move once, but I need to give some kind of environmental reason for that, like, you know, having a different ground texture or like a wall, you know, to limit where they can go. But one of the things that has changed was that once you've pushed a block or pulled a block, you can pull it again. And I think that's good. It makes more sense. There's no logical reason in the game world why you can't move a block more than once. So I think I'm just going to have to design better and figure out how to make interesting challenges with blocks that can be moved more than once. I still like the idea that the player has to rest, though, after only moving a certain distance. You know, they're just a little guy. It's a lot of work for them to do that. This was here before, but I don't know if it did during the playtest, but for the actual proper last devlog that I did, I don't think that it had any kind of visual indication of what it does, but I'd like to animate that if I can. We'll see. But it resets the puzzle in case you get yourself stuck. Anyway, it's fairly simple. There'll be a tooltip here over one of these as well. This is the first one that you've done, saying that you can both push and pull these. Oh, there's a little bit of a bug. Other than that, though, I think that's fairly close. Whoops. So these turrets fire, and they need animations for that. They also need an animation for when they're defeated. That turret, actually I should probably reset it so you can have a look at it, has an elemental indicator on it that matches a lot of the structures. It's purple like the stone that the player character, their people use. And that's supposed to indicate that if you come down here before, you can't actually injure it if you don't have the earth element selected. So, now that I have it, I can destroy it. So this is a natural blocker. You can't go down here until you go and collect the earth element first. Upon approaching... Oh, I should say, too, this room is not set up entirely properly for collisions, and it's not fully decorated yet. It's still pretty basic, so this definitely needs to be fleshed out a bit. But there'll be a tooltip here as well. We have wind. You can push against it, and while it's not blowing, then you can move. Otherwise, it pushes you back. And you can see that there are grasses and things that blow more heavily while it's going. There'll also be some kind of a crack or something in the wall, more of a visual indication of why there's wind coming through this area and moving in that direction. But the tooltip will tell you that if you press another button, you can anchor yourself, and there'll be an animation for that. The character can shield themselves using earth power. And I think the timing will need to be sorted out, because that will eventually take up a spirit point to do that, I think, as well. And then, because I did it before, dashing needs an animation too. That's still a placeholder. But the idea here is that you move through the maze, and these are set up in a way where Like for this, for instance, the other ones I could get through without having to use the ability or stop. But here I have no choice. I can't actually reach the bottom of this unless I use the ability or duck into this side hole. So the idea is that over the course of, 2 or 3 times that you see it, you'll learn what it does, how to use it, and how far you can get without using it. You can refill over here. And then some of the areas that have wind just blow constantly, and you don't get a break. So even if you anchor yourself, still can't actually get across there. So the idea here is that you have to experiment and figure out what else you can do. And if you're moving against the wind, you actually get pushed back more slowly. So if I run upwards while I do this, I can make it across. So again, this is just like every other area that's in this, prototype vertical slice of the game that I'm building, trying to build on each step and teach the player how to play the game and how to use the new abilities that they're getting as they go. So to iterate on that further, when I come here, I can't go anywhere, but there's a block here. So this teaches me that if I move this, I can stop the wind that's coming out of that crack. So now I can move through. And then here, I've got wind moving in multiple directions, including pushing me back down to the edge. And that gap is just too small for me to hit it even if I get up there. So even if I try to do what I did before and move up to do it, I just barely miss it and I can't get through. So this also reinforces that I need to use the block to do it. And then I can go over here. And that's pretty much it for this. Hopefully I have left myself some good notes in talking through this. There is one other area which you would have seen if you've watched the previous ones, which is the tower at the end, but turns out that I forgot to add a room exit. To that, so we won't be going there. That's okay, there's not actually anything to do there. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of pretty. There's not much else going on though. So yeah, I think to recap, almost entirely tweaking the systems that are in place and adding new animations and sounds. There's quite a few sound effects that need to be added. Foley layers need to be added for most of the rooms. And any general improvements that can be made should be made. I would definitely like to give everything a bit of a polish and just make sure that everything's working exactly the way that I want it to. But honestly, even just going through this and talking this through right now has made me feel better about the situation. It made me feel like there's less to do than I had thought. Need to open this up again and make sure next time that stays a global setting. That should be always broken once it's broken. Yeah, I don't know. pretty good overall, I think. And I'm excited to get it to a more finalized state. I think probably the next one of these that I'll be putting up after this one will be another play testing session. Once I get things wrapped, I'm going to have people run through it again and see how they feel about the changes that have been made. I imagine it'll be most of the same people who did it before. And I think I'll have some QA done on it and then record the milestone in a couple of months. And after that, just keep working on it. But that's the state of the game. I should probably give a shout out, I think, and I will in the credits when I put this up as well. All the music that you hear in the game is done by Joel Corelitz. It's not mine, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and it's really enhancing the game. And other than that, I think I said this maybe in the last one that I did, but at some point I will definitely need some help in visual asset creation. So if you're watching this and you are a pixel artist and animator, and this is a style that you'd want to work in, and this is a project that you'd be interested in, please feel free to drop me a line and we can talk about it. Cool. I'll leave it at that. Again, yeah, if you've watched this, hopefully it was interesting, not too boring. Like I said at the front of it, sort of, it's really just a lot of it's for me, so I can make a list of what I need to do, but I figured I'd try to kill two birds with one stone. Cool. Thanks for watching. And you can follow along here, or if you look up Straycloud Game on Twitter, Instagram, or Mastodon, I'm on there too. If you go to straycloud.nz, you can join the mailing list and the MailChimp sign up at the bottom. And that's about it. Cool. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.